So they call it the number one psychological mistake. Hurting your deals, your relationships, your influence. Some studies say 99% of people make it every day. The reason people ghost you. One of the first things I teach at Negotiation Boot Camp. And the blunder we got to fix right now. What is it called? Fundamental Attribution Error, or FAE. What is that? Stay tuned. I'll let you know.
Maximize your influence. Kurt Mortensen is the author of Persuasion IQ, Laws of Charisma, and the best-selling book, Maximum Influence.
Now, this fundamental attribution error, also known as correspondence bias, over-attribution effect, dispositional attribution error, they couldn't come up with a simple way to say it. Let's simplify it. Let's talk about it. This is Kurt Mortensen. Welcome to Maximize Your Influence. Good to have you here. This is podcast 583 as we take that deep dive into persuasion, motivation, influence, mindset, or self-persuasion, the critical aspects, the critical skills for your success. So this fundamental attribution error, FAE, is our psychological tendency to blame someone's behavior on their personality or character. They're lazy, they're selfish, they're rude, while completely ignoring the situation around them, the situational forces that actually caused it. They might not be late because of a character flaw. They might be late because of a flat tire, traffic, a sick child, a boss that dumped on them at the last second. But then here's the key. We flip the script when we do our own screw-ups. It's their fault for being late, but not my fault for being late. That is FAE, or fundamental attribution bias. So basically, we judge others on their character. We judge ourselves on the circumstances. When they screw up, we're like, man, what an idiot. When we screw up, we think, well, we're just having a bad day. You see, we blame the person, not the situation, unless the person is us. And when we do that, it's very hard to connect. It's hard to persuade. It's hard to influence. It's hard to seal the deal. So this FAE is a silent deal killer. The top producers, the top persuaders do the opposite. They realize the resistance is situational. Is it budget? Is it something in their life? Is it bad timing? Is it past vendor? Is there history? It's not personal. The goal is to stay calm and curious and empathetic and find out what's really happening. You fix this, you're going to watch your influence dramatically increase. Before we take a deeper dive, let's get into the persuasion blunder. Don't! Talking about the fundamental attribution error, FAE. And it goes back to the no. When we get the no, we blame them as a person instead of looking at that situation. And human tendency is to start to argue with the person instead of digging the problem, peeling the onion back. That's one of the huge negotiation blunders, is we focus on the position instead of the problem. Remember the famous orange story? I tell it in every negotiation boot camp, right? Two twin girls, 12 years old, fighting over the last orange. Parent hears it, comes down the stairs. Here's the fighting, right? And what do? They cut the orange in half. That's what you do, because the problem's wanting the orange. But what's the true position here? One girl needed the peel and the other girl needed the orange. One was working on a cooking project. One wanted to eat it. If they would have dug deeper, they would have found the issue. Why do we do this? It's how we're wired. It's how we're programmed. Hey, and we're right sometimes. You got to prejudge sometimes. Is this a dangerous situation? What's going on here? But with influence, we have so much pressure to seal the deal that we walk away too fast. We assume too fast. We're reading the situation wrong. So you have to assume, and I know that's a dangerous thing here, that everybody you're talking to that's giving you this resistance, you got to peel the onion, get down to the layers, find out what's going on, find out what's really happening. Because if you're accepting that first, second, even third no, you've got to dig a little deeper. Professional trained negotiators don't do anything till 3, sometimes even 5 no's come out. That's when the game begins. That should be exciting to you. Change your mindset. Like, all right, there's my first no. The game has begun. What's really happening here? What's really going on? instead of cranking up the heat or walking away. Time for the geeky Scarly article. This comes from the University of Verona and Tilburg University, Dr. Castagnetta, talking about why this FAE matters. He talks about in the world where snap judgments shape everything from hiring decisions to courtroom verdicts to romantic relationships, and of course battles in the boardroom. He says it's a cognitive trap that leads us to blame people's flaws on their character while excusing our own circumstances. And what this does, it increases misunderstandings, biases, and we miss a lot of opportunities in our life. He says it happens because our brains process incomplete information under pressure. We have this knee-jerk reaction to label, to simplify complex situations, because this shortcut saves mental energy. And on a side note, our brain loves shortcuts. It could be good, but sometimes it can hold us back. He says we're just not getting enough information. We're making the judgment too fast. And the studies he did show that when people took the time, weren't stressed, there weren't what he called noisy signals around or stressed to make a quick decision, people did a lot better in really evaluating the person and the situation. So the good news, the takeaways, it's not inevitable. You could upgrade your brain to kill the bias. When you're getting the right information, the right evidence, FAE vanishes. So challenge yourself, challenge the fundamental attribution error. Get more relaxed, get more information, peel the onion back like I talked about and find out what's really going on and stay out of those noisy situations. That could be stress, that could be environment, that could be a variety of different things. Get the real information. So I hope you caught that. It's wired, but you could overcome it. You could upgrade your brain. And next time you catch yourself labeling a flaky colleague, he says, back up from that fog of information, clear the mist, and see if it's the circumstance, which it probably is, or it could be their character. So how do we overcome this fundamental attribution error, FAE? Because it's sabotaging our influence. We're misjudging, we're miscategorizing, we're focusing on potential flaws, we're losing opportunities. So if you want to boost your close rate, your influence, your persuasion, your connectivity, let's take a look at some ways to overcome this. The first one is just take perspective. Imagine yourself in their shoes. Because when you do this, your knee-jerk's not, well, they're indecisive. Maybe they're dealing with budget cuts. That reduces our bias, helps us to be more understanding, and helps us find out exactly what's going on. So if someone delays a decision, instead of labeling them as indecisive or flaky, just imagine, all right, budget cuts, they're dealing with a manager that's not making a decision, internal approvals, maybe there's layoffs, maybe it's the economy, it could be a variety of different things. So the key is, if I were them, what pressures could I be facing? And remember, the study found that this is a trainable skill. Increases our influence, social interactions, and especially in those high-stake negotiations when emotions are high. When you could feel and understand them, their emotions, and what they're going through without judgment, fundamental attribution error dramatically decreases. For example, in a negotiation, if they start getting aggressive, they start getting tense, they start getting hostile or angry, put yourself in their shoes, show a little empathy, find out what's really going on, and it keeps the doors open to influence. Another thing you can do is called self-distancing. So if you have challenges putting yourself in the situation, try to back up like a third person, a detached perspective. That way you can gain objectivity. So when you step back emotionally, put your ego aside, you're able to weigh the situation and see what's really happening. Just back up and say, what advice would you give a friend in this situation? In this sale, in this negotiation. And then the study did show that when you're able to self-distance, back up, it reduced the strength of FAE, allowing people to stay in the game and increase their influence. If that's not for you, how about mindfulness? Now, what is mindfulness? It's present moment awareness, where you can observe your thoughts, what they're saying, their reactions, giving yourself a little space to consider alternatives, to realize that you're probably stuck in the fundamental attribution error. Then you can respond more thoughtfully rather than just reacting. This could be a deep breath, taking a few seconds, maybe even taking a break. Whatever works for you to take a few seconds to be more mindful. This does improve self-awareness, empathy, and improves your judgments. Next one is consult others. Get different perspectives. You're too close to it. You're emotionally involved. It's amazing when I sit into negotiations, just kind of a fly in the wall, see what's going on. I'm a different perspective. I'm not part of that company. I don't have all the history, and I'm able to give different perspectives. So if you're too close to it, talk to somebody else. What would you do? What do you think? Have them in on the situation. Have them in on the persuasion encounter. If it's after the situation, talk to colleagues. Talk to people that you respect that can give you insight. And ask them what could explain this behavior. And then take their insights and integrate that into your strategy. It's amazing the different perspectives other people have when they're not emotionally involved. They're not involved in the history. They have a different viewpoint, different life experience, and it gives you really valuable information. Another one that works really well, training. Go to the boot camps. There are places online to help you train. Do a mock negotiation based on the scenario that you're going to be running into. It gives you confidence. It helps you deal with other people. How are they going to react? When you practice, you do a mock negotiation, you go through the situation. It can help you out to see what other people are going to do, how they're going to react, helps you slow down, and it reduces your fundamental attribution bias. This is basically assuming others' actions are rational within their local context, even if they seem irrational to you. Here's an example. If you're in a persuasive situation, they ghost you, consider that rational. Maybe they're overloaded from emails. Instead of just saying they're disinterested, they've ghosted me, and you keep following up. So every time you make a judgment, ask yourself, what are the factors here? What's really going on locally for them that could be happening here? Because we go too fast to the ghosting, to the disinterested, versus overwhelmed, overloaded, on vacation, something's happening at home. So always question your assumptions. Your knee-jerk reactions for other people's behavior. Remember the tendency, we're judging them on their character instead of the circumstances. So when you can question your assumptions, the FAE erodes away. You don't judge them on their character as much, you look at the circumstances. You're peeling the onion back. For example, in a negotiation, why the lowball offer? This is ridiculous. This is low. It's not even in the right ballpark. So instead of saying, oh, they're being greedy, maybe there's something happening in the company, economic downturn. That's the best they can do. So the key here is that when that happens, hopefully you can do it during the negotiation. Jot down your assumption, greedy, and then brainstorm, if you can, if you have time, 3 situational alternatives, 3 things that could be happening. Now, there might not be time. You could do it afterwards. Assuming there's another meeting, you're going to meet with them again. Write down 3 things that could be happening. Some people love to use, gratitude. Not something you would think about here. That causes you to focus on the positive rather than the negative. It shifts resentment of perceived flaws to understanding, encouraging them to open up, to enhance the relationship and to find out what's really going on. So if you're in sales and you get this big rejection after spending all this time with them, giving them all this information, switch it up. Say, hey, I really appreciate your time, and try to mean it. I know it's tough. Try to mean it. They have a very busy schedule. They open it up for you. They let you in, and it keeps the door open for the doorknob closed. Remember that one? You stand up. Hey, appreciate your time. Thank you. I know you're busy. Thank you for fitting me in your schedule. You reach for the doorknob and you say, hey, This seemed like a perfect fit for us. What was the main reason? Just help me out for next time I talk to somebody. Keep that relationship alive and open, and you're going to find out their main objection, not only to help close that sale later, but to help to close other sales. Gratitude's amazing for relationships, to keep the door open to influence, and it makes you a happier person. In fact, a side note, studies on gratitude journals, writing down what you're grateful for every day, off the charts with happiness, optimism, your relationships. It makes a huge difference. And you could always increase your EQ, your emotional intelligence. Let's do a little review. There are 4 main areas of emotional intelligence. Some have more, some have less. And understand mastering these will help you tame or erode away your fundamental attribution error. The first part of it's self-awareness, your ability to accurately recognize your own emotions as they happen, understand your typical triggers, how you react. That's key. Taking care of yourself. Learning how to pause before you respond in any heated situation or when you get angry. Getting feedback from others on how you're dealing with your emotions. And again, understanding those triggers so you can stay in control. The next one is self-management. Some call it self-regulation. Your ability to stay in control of your emotions and choose your response instead of reacting on autopilot. Some do the 10-second rule. When you get triggered, you count to 10, or you could take 3 deep breaths before you react, before you speak. Some people choose an anchor phrase, a calming line, I am in control, my emotions are not in charge of me, whatever works for you. Then there's social awareness. This is your ability to accurately pick up on other people's emotions and kind of read and understand the political and social dynamics of the room. You're able to read others, read the room, understand what's going on and how to adapt. Get better at reading body language, facial expressions, reading emotions. And part of this too is learning to kind of map the room before you influence, before you negotiate. Who are the influencers? Who's in charge? And then you can adjust your presentation to the right person, the decision maker. And final one, relationship management. This is your ability to influence, handle conflict, get teams to work together. Working on a team is all part of relationship management. So basically, your ability to inspire, influence, and develop other people while you manage conflict constructively. You can use the improv technique, the yes and, meaning it just keeps the conversation going. You're not discounting anybody. Some people use the FBI formula, feeling, behavior, impact. And part of that too is turning every objection into a question. When a prospect says it's too expensive, you could say, help me understand what number would feel better for you. What exactly were you looking to invest? Keeps you in control and keeps them talking. That's the big overview of emotional intelligence, EQ. That social awareness. We all know that EQ is more important in life than IQ, that emotional intelligence. Go to the archives. We've talked many times in the podcast about emotional intelligence. It makes a huge difference. So, bottom line, before you react, flip the script, put yourself in their shoes, show a little empathy, get a little training, do a little mock negotiation if that's what it is, consult with others, and really work on your EQ. There you have it. That's our podcast of the day. It's podcast 583. We found at maximizeyourinfluence.com. Tell your family, friends, and enemies about the podcast. It can be found at Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and iTunes. This week's special, Millionaire Psychology. The link is in your email. The link is also available under podcast 583 at maximizeyourinfluence.com. This is mindset. This is millionaire psychology. Basically, you want to become a millionaire? It's pretty simple. Start thinking, acting, and doing what other millionaires do. This is the mindset principle. This is self-persuasion. Take something that you learned today, master it, use it. Get past that fundamental attribution error, or FAE. Increase your ability to influence, become a power negotiator. Change your mindset and go out and persuade with power.